Come on. My name's Gary Hicks, and this is Sandy King. And we're here this evening to present the city of Falmouth with 37 U.S. American flags. Our thanks to the mayor, city council, and guests for allowing us this time on the meeting agenda. Appreciate it. This patriotic contribution reflects Woodman Life's longstanding commitment to honoring the nation, serving local communities, and promoting pride in the American flag. Woodman Life Chapter 611 is honored to partner with the city of Falmouth in this effort to enhance the appearance of downtown while celebrating the values of patriotism and the civic pride. These flags will serve as a meaningful and visible symbol of the community spirit in the heart of Falmouth. Woodman Life is proud to support communities through projects that honor our country. Presenting these flags for display in downtown Falmouth is a meaningful way to celebrate patriotism and America 250. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you mind if you guys came out front? And we'll pass out boxes of flags and we'll get a picture and it'll be a lot of fun.
You guys care, do you and Sandy want to hold one with them?
Yeah.
We'll just
We'll get Sabrina right in the middle. Get everybody. Right side up. Make sure they're all right side up.
I didn't feel right playing both sides. I didn't want a picture.
Got it? Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think it'll look great. Get the banners up and the
Yeah, no,
flags.
I think it will look really nice. You got work to do, Joe.
Downtown Falmouth, better homes and gardens.
Oh, that would be nice. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
You look much like the second she did. I recognize your hair. I mean, face even in the sunlight. I was always.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate you. So you get my picture, Ron.
Yes.
In and out.
Let's see.
Minutes for April the 16th.
Might need to get anything on.
We're all budget. Minutes for special meetings? I'm missing something. Okay. I was like-
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting April 16th. We need a second.
That's fine. Are you still
No, and I will also motion to approve the minutes from that and the regular minutes.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yep. Yeah.
And Joyce isn't gonna be here tonight, so everybody knows. I'm big Christian, I don't know where, but. Now we are moving on to old business. We are gonna talk about reclassifying the water and sewer customer rates to do a city residential, city commercial, non-city residential, non-city commercial, and Anthony graciously headed that up for us. And
I realize it'll be this week.
he's got himself a little presentation for us. For a slide.
But then, further, that's,
You got a plug that projector in.
Oh,
Forward on that. Sorry, they did training, Rural Water was here
Amateur hour
for
here.
2 days, and so they moved everything and had tables set up and did 2 days of sewer training.
Yep, keep it office. I haven't been out there for display port.
About how sweet.
One by five.
You wanted a fire in here?
That's the one that can't see it. Okay. There you are. Alright. So, take all this with a grain of salt, but to give some context, I don't have it with me, I forgot it at home. Some of you may be familiar with Mason Taylor's ordinance that he passed, I think, in 2023, or Butler City Council passed in 2023, that broke down the water rates between residential water, commercial water, inside the city, outside city, residential, outside city, commercial. Now, I'll say that Mason definitely, he went a little bit harder than we did. I mean, or at least in these initial numbers, obviously everything here is up for debate because, you know, we'll have to pass this as an ordinance first and second, so we're not even close to doing that. But anyway, essentially what I try to get at, a couple things that I kept in mind while I was spitballing this and then talking to Amanda with it during our committee meeting, is one, we want to try, like my idea is not have residential increase at all. Water and sewer. They've grunted the impact of having to deal with the increasing costs of dealing with water for years and years because of the wholesale rate getting stuck. I do not want the residents to have to increase it at all. So they're 0% across the board for the next 4 years. Commercial water, there's a little bit of an increase to put them separate than residential, reason being commercial, you know, it's business, they're making profit off of water. I think this would mostly affect businesses in like food preparation, sales, stuff like that, do dishes. Use a lot of water, you know, you're, trying to think of, example, we have mostly restaurants here, in the city limits, and grocery stores. Some grocery stores use more than others. But anyway, the point being is that's going to be a much more, you know, gradual increase and not much of an increase over the 4 years to begin with it ending up at 1563 for the first 2,000 gallons, and then 653 for the water, for everything above that. Now outside the city, the residential and commercial, that's where things get a little, you know, a little more hectic. The first year, the way I look at it, the way I think it would be ideal is if we were able to look at passing this before the next fiscal year, then we could start looking at budgeting, working on the utility budget with these numbers in mind. But I do realize, it's May, early May, it's not a, great timeline to turn around, especially if you're outside the city and get whacked with, say, a 25% increase, and not really be able to prepare for it. So the first year for those are much lower, so 6%, 9% for them respectively. But year over year after that would be 25%. The main driver being a encouragement to annex. Once you annex, you drop back down to the residential water or commercial water numbers, and you stay there. Well, not stay there, but you follow that pattern for the next however many years. Another thing I did, 50,000 plus, that was something I noticed on Butler. One, on Butler, they made it more per 1,000 gallons, and that's something that I didn't point out. All of these rates are per 1,000 gallons.
Yeah, it
So-
says first 2,000.
Yeah.
It's double, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
a fair
4,000,
point, yeah.
Because right now, that's the way it's set up, we're doing 1311.
I just want to make it to where all the equations would work out, because I have this set up with equations where if we want to discuss here in a little bit, tweaking some numbers, we can do that and it'll update all the stuff for us. But anyway, Butler had over 50,000 was more per 1,000 gallons, which on a residential side isn't going to be a problem, or shouldn't be a problem. If a residential building or an individual resident is using more than 50,000 gallons of water, they probably have a leak, because a swimming pool, a 24-foot swimming pool, 56 inches deep, is like 17,000 gallons or something like that. So it's like, yeah, like you have a problem somewhere if you use that much. But commercial, they may use more water, and that's one of the things with outside city commercial water. I bumped that back up for over 50,000. And for in-city commercial water, you stay at the same rate. So that's another perk with being in commercial or in-city. The last thing I want to point out, based on some numbers that Mayor Hazen gave me earlier this week, as to how many people or how many businesses this will impact outside the city, especially. There was 200 and some change residential,
Yeah.
and then just 5 commercial.
Yeah.
So. The residential is mostly, I think, the people live up on Reservoir Hill, Wells Drive, Rhonda, stuff like that. So, I think that's all I got in my spiel. If anyone has questions, comments, suggestions.
My only thing is with the sewer, the sewer plant's projected to lose $200,000 this year. So we need to make sure that the rates will get the sewer plant out of the red and give the sewer plant some kind of cushion to start. One thing none of our utility budgets have ever budgeted for is asset depreciation. We're not putting money back into our systems like we should be, or budgeting for that. And when I spoke with Mark Ross and with Bob Miller, and Mark was supposed to get me more of a study kind of thing that Bob had talked about, but this whole water study thing it's been fun. He didn't get me the residential side of things yet, but initially they said that we would need a minimum of a 30% increase to get us out of the red, but realistically more or less a 60% increase in our sewer to be able to put money back in. Thankfully, we've got that $900,000 sewer grant that's gonna help with the plant. What we don't have funded yet is our I&I. We're still looking at trying to get some funding for that, but we have to start making repairs to these sewer lines, especially as we're starting to pave roads, because it would be not very wise to pave roads, to turn around and dig up roads, to repair sewer lines, so we do need to start. So I can have on you to use the numbers that we're going with to see where that would kind of put us.
Yeah. And I'll
Like
send,
if these were the rates.
Yeah.
What would that get us in revenue? Would that be enough to get us out of, so like, I think as much as we don't wanna do any city residential increase, realistically, to come up with $300,000 essentially in sewer revenue off of what we're doing now, the city residents, I mean, I think when I was, it was maybe $1 increase per thousand, but I also did a much more significant increase. I think I put them at the non-residential, or the residential non-city at like 24 per thousand. But we can see, and that was, these are just like numbers kind of off my head, because they said the average use for residential is at 3,500. But like for me and Anthony talking about it, our average use in our houses is like 5,000 gallons, more or less. So I mean, it might just, with the slight increase we're doing, it might get us, but like we definitely need to see, we at least need to get it out of the red,
Yeah.
at the minimum.
And I'll forward the actual spreadsheet
Yeah.
to you all, so that way Juanita and whoever can play around with
Yeah,
numbers
and
and
just to see where that gets us, and that's really, I think, the focus for the sewer is getting that at least out of the red. The water plant, I think Paul's got it projected to make around like $120,000 a year, but so here's the other part of the water plant. We don't budget in, I think the electric expense is like $60,000 a year or something. We don't actually budget into their budget what we're paying it for their electric, because all that just comes out of, we buy wholesale electric, and then there's certain buildings in the city that we don't actually, we're not writing a check for that. And then we do need to start accounting for that in the water plant budget. The sewer is accounted for because it's out of the county, and we pay an electric bill for that. We do need to start including the cost of the electric in the water plant budget, just so we have an idea if the plant's really making money or not making money, and what that looks like. We are getting an increase on the wholesale rate. We're voting on that tonight. The number's not where we had it at to begin with, but we'll go over that later. And we will be increasing them again in 6 months with the loan that we're doing on the water plant. And at that time, so I mean, I think any increase like you're doing in the water, I think we'll be fine there. I think the only one we really need to go back and look at is the sewer.
Okay.
To make sure that we're at least getting an extra $200,000 in revenue to at least start breaking even there. But other than that, I think it looks.
Yeah, and then the bottom here, I just use some calculations to figure out like, okay, so in July 1st, 2026, if this passes before then or what have you, if you're a residential user and you use 10,000 gallons, your bill will be $70.06. And then if you're a commercial water user, your bill will be $72.16. And it goes on, just kind of give an estimate as to how much, you know, it would cost for someone or a business, get an idea. This is stuff we could publish later once we get final numbers, people. So I think that's really all I had. One thing I thought of when you mentioned bulk water rates, don't have it in here just because it's a very simple number, is when we update this, we'll also want to make sure we update the water water station.
At the water station?
The ordinance I saw said like $2 per thousand.
To fill up the what, it's $2, 250 gallons.
Oh, 250, okay, I
Yeah,
thought
it's
it
not
was 1,000 gallon.
Okay.
So it's
Okay,
80.
okay, so maybe we don't,
And then
Not
like
too
the
bad.
only other for sewer, like the septic haulers, I wanna say they're paying like 35 or something like that. But that is a pretty, cause Christian and I talked about that and knowing what like Cynthia is charging in other places, that is a pretty comparable rate to the other places that take the septic haulers. And we don't take the leachate anymore. That used to bring in a lot of revenue for the sewer plant, but we don't, and even if they wanted to, we wouldn't accept it anymore at this point, because it wreaks havoc on the plant. They take it up to SD1 these days, their plants can handle it kind of stuff. Our plant just, it's too much on our plant to take in on that leachate. So we do have the septic haulers, but they don't bring in, there's not a lot of revenue there, but there, and I think it's at 35, and that's not included in our ordinance. But I don't think that there's much, I don't think there's really anywhere near with that one either. But what do other fuel stations charge, do you know? You guys have any, you guys want us to keep it going this route?
Yeah.
I mean, if not,
I think it's beneficial to, start looking at
commercial and, or, I'm sorry, not commercial, the differences between resident and non-resident, you know, trying to do that increase, I think it's beneficial to us. And like Anthony said, and I agree, the residents of the city have been taking on the burden of this for a long time, so I think it's time that we start passing some of our shortfalls on to people that are not direct residents of the city.
And we could also amend the ordinance to say that going forward, if they would like to hook into our city utilities, they have to annex them. Because other places don't allow them, a lot of other places got out of doing this. We're allowing people outside of the city limits to, like Cynthia won't allow you to hook onto their utilities unless you annex. And
When it's outside the city limits, let's say the city has to go digging through something to service the line, I'm guessing we have to pay for the county roads at that point, or?
well,
how's it
I
work?
really don't think we're doing much more water expansion at this point.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's a
Joe
fix.
covers all that down there.
Yeah.
I don't think we're adding in any, the only where to grow, where the only grows with, because the districts kind of have their service area, and I think they kind of we're butted up to where they're at. Sewer's the only place that we could grow, but yeah, we'd be digging up stuff out in the county. I mean, it would be great if we could increase sewer, because it was supposed to be a regional plant to begin with, and it didn't go regional, why? I think it's costing us so much that, and once the plant's paid off, who knows, maybe we could reduce the rates, but that's not gonna be for a few more years. And putting in sewer is hard though, I mean, we did that Falmouth one, but it's hard, you gotta do, they're all gravity lines. Our best option would have been if they would have continued the sewer line instead of joining in with the high school going south. That was the initial plan. Because Joe B, East Pendleton Water has a packaging plant down there south of town that gets all of Jenkins Lane and all that, and we would have gotten all those customers. But they never finished connecting, and Joe B and East Pendleton's not gonna give it up now because they just got grant money within the last couple of years to update and do all that, their stuff down there, so they're not taking it up now. But, I mean, there's still, we could look into and explore, but, and that was something actually that when, Mark Stevens from Summit was here today, we were discussing other projects at the water plant. He was saying that if people do want to, say, add sewer, it's much better for him to come out and kind of look at it to make sure it's even possible before we get into that, because you've got to slope it all right, like if you need to have, make sure that you've got the gravity to do it. And some of the terrain, once you get too far in the county, that would be a lot. But I mean, I guess there is a hope that maybe some of the people up there on the hill going up to the high school eventually want to tap into that line. There are a couple houses up there, but I don't see much growth going in the utilities really with the water and sewer outside of the city limits. I think we're kind of,
It's more so, benefit to annex to get cheaper rates, so.
yeah, I mean, there's a hope maybe that. We'll need to kind of look at the numbers and kind of get a better idea of what that revenue that would fix our shortfall in the sewer. But water, the plant is making money, so at least there's that. So.
Alright, cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
And we are adding a couple things onto our agenda tonight. We're doing the water. Yeah, the water one is, but we are adding on a resolution to approve that grant loan money that we're getting to, by the way. But we'll go ahead and let Steve take over, because he's got the big bulk of this meeting.
Y'all put me to work then. Let me just write this. Alright. The first thing that we have on the agenda for legislation is the second reading of, ordinance 2026.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, I skipped over something.
Oh, yeah, you did.
We'll
You
do.
can go back to it.
Okay, we put out the request for the audit. We got one response back, and the price is significantly higher than what we were paying before. This company is also did Butler's, and I didn't get a chance to call them, but I'm gonna call them and see if we can't discuss the price. And I'm not real sure what the difference is. Without the single audit, it's $38,500. With a single audit, it's $43,000 a year. We were paying like $12,000 a year when Paul was doing an audit. I do know that Butler paid like $20 for theirs. But I'm gonna call and see. Paul also suggested that we do have a year. The audit's not actually due to like March, April, whatever of next year. So we still have time, but I'm gonna call and see if we can't discuss the price a little bit to see it. I mean, that's a pretty significant amount of money. So I wanted to give that to you guys tonight, but I don't really wanna vote on that tonight. If we could table that till I can talk to them to see about pricing, and then also Paul said that he might be able to help find us somebody else. And since we have time, I'd rather kind of just table it and kind of look back at that, maybe once if they can come down on the price a little bit, or kind of go from there after we get some more information on.
We need to make a motion on that, or? Okay.
No.
You know, we did pass a law about, I think it's, I'm just looking it up real quick, so it is a good idea to hold off, that small to mid-sized cities now have, I won't say looser, but easier audit
Yeah.
procedures.
Okay,
And so we may, let's look at it again,
Okay.
and we may not even
okay,
need to do it. I think,
okay.
I'm just looking through, I think it's like 15 million, right? So like we would meet within that.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
have, even with
Yeah.
the utility fund in there, yeah, cause our general fund's like 1.3, and I think our utilities might be at like,
Yeah.
I think we have like maybe 5 million tops, I think is our whole thing, even with the utility. And I mean, there's a lot of expenses, so it's not like we have a lot of revenue in utilities, but, yeah, no, so
Well,
that's
and
definitely.
it would start with fiscal years July 1st, 2027. So we may not. You
Well,
never
we might
mind.
have to do one
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
but, I still think, let me call these people and see about the price. And, cause we don't have very complicated, we've got two accounts for the most part. I mean, we've got the road aid, and it's what,
There's road aid, there's.
less than $10,000 a year, and that, what we get from the state.
12 altogether.
12,000 for this year?
Accounts.
Oh, 12 account. Well, yeah, but they don't
Something like that,
actually, but the utility counts really one account. We just break it down into departments.
Oh, that's not
Basically.
working. That is all utilities. There's still 12.
What other accounts do we have?
Utility general, ABC, meter, LGEA, ARPA, which is still open.
Well, that ARPA one needs to get.
There's
closed.
much.
Yeah,
What do you think?
but there's really nothing that goes in and out of them. Yeah. So we will hold off on that. But okay, now you can go ahead.
City of Falmouth ordinance number 2026-1, an ordinance of the City of Falmouth, Kentucky, repealing chapter 110 of the Code of Ordinances in its entirety and enacting a new chapter 110 to establish a comprehensive occupational license and tax system consisting of a graduated flat license fee based on gross receipts, 1% tax on net profits, and a 1.5% payroll tax. We've discussed this at the last meeting. Not aware of any changes that have been asked or requested for, and this would be a second reading.
Since it's the second reading, we need a motion and
Second reading doesn't mean you're passing it, though.
yeah,
Second reading, you're accepting it.
we would be passing it.
Be voting and passing it.
before it was passed. And you got
Sure, I mean, you can't,
public comment at the
you
end.
can go ahead if you'd like to discuss the topic that,
Well, I've got a few.
I don't want you to feel unheard, it's not like we have a very big crowd, so I think we'll be okay.
Number one, well, this is not related to that, this, since the police were here, I heard that the cruisers and fuel was not in the police budget.
No, it is. I just wasn't totaling it up when we were trying to look at what their bare minimum to make. I wasn't actually, it's in their budget though.
Well, I mean, is the cruisers expense?
No, they're paid for, but so we just pay the insurance, and the
I
fuel
mean,
costs
is
and
that,
maintenance.
is that part of that budget?
Mm-hmm, their general, the maintenance and all that stuff and any repairs, but the vehicles are all paid
In the
for.
police budget?
Yep.
Okay. I'd heard it wasn't in there. It's hard to find out facts sometimes. But what I want to question, how many here have looked at other cities' payroll tax, net profits tax, and see how they were written?
I printed off a couple examples when we first started talking about it. I printed off a couple different cities' examples of the.
How many has read in other cities?
I looked through all the time.
Huh?
So, yeah.
Two of you?
They passed out we had a big selection of them, the whole council.
Yeah, I don't
reviewed
think you were
them, and
here
then-
that night, cause
Yeah.
I had a whole slide presentation and we went over pretty detailed, the options for the different taxes, kinda which ones, I mean, all the tax options, which ones we kinda narrowed down, the ones we were kinda wanting to do.
We
And we
had-
pulled some different cities and I gave those out for examples.
Yeah, we got Augusta, Wiltmore,
We had Bellevue.
let's see, yeah, Cuttawa. You got Bellevue, I believe is another one. Yeah, Bellevue. So we had a few.
And then I drafted the ordinance based on the cities that had language that council liked.
Well, I researched 3 cities, and none of them had a reference. Well, number one, none of them bundled them all together in one ordinance. Of the 3 that I looked at, nor did the,
It won't be codified as one.
We're looking at an entire chapter, so we're taking the existing chapter and repealing it, so it's going away, and we're replacing it with a new chapter. So the existing chapter 110 right now only has the occupational license fee. And so we're updating and changing how that works, and then we're adding the tax, and then we're adding the payroll tax.
So it'll look more like the other cities, like when you pull them up online, or however you got them. It'll be a chapter and sections to it. We just put it all in one
Yeah.
ordinance.
Your chapter is just the whole chapter, and then each one of your sections there is a different ordinance. You could say a different.
so if you
ordinance.
wanna change any ordinance, you're gonna have to rechange all 3.
No, we
No,
can-
just whatever part, section, specific part of that ordinance going forward, cause it will say chapter 110, we wanna amend
Okay.
110.30. Like, we can go through and change just the specific
Well,
section of it.
the point I'm getting up to is in the ordinance, this new ordinance here, every paragraph is referred to a state that passed, you had to go by, what do you call a state legislature, something passed by the state ordinance, not ordinance.
KRS.
Yeah,
statutes.
Yeah.
statutes. Well, none of the 3 I saw even have any reference to the statutes whatsoever in it. They had complete rules of the 3, and Wilder being the best one, they have about 15 pages. They have they furnish a page of the ordinance of how everybody, where they're supposed to put their amounts and all. They had 2 pages of instructions. They had full pages, they had full paragraphs of what penalties, what interest, and how they were to be handled. And it looks like this is written, that the clerk is gonna be the number one person, and she's gonna have to figure out all these things somehow, without even having council approval, or when she comes before the council.
Well, she
There's
is
no procedure.
essentially the tax collector for the city.
Yeah, but she's got to, anybody's got any questions, she's got to answer them.
Yes.
And if there's somebody, how do you know that you got them all? And if somebody is in the rears, other places have interest and penalty both for those who don't pay on time.
I think we have a penalty, penalty clause in here.
Yeah, there's.
Well, it isn't defined to some of these others, I'll put it that way then. That's all I want to say, thank you.
I see under 110:10 the mentioned penalties for failure. To file a pay shall include interest at the rate provided by state law plus fines and other remedies available under KRS chapter 67 municipal authority.
We should get 12% interest rate.
Yeah, and I see that also again in 10:10:20F. Yeah.
Okay, we just need
Well, it was said last time that the people would get to review these. How are they supposed to know about it and review the ordinance?
It was published after we did the first reading.
In the first reading?
It was last month.
Yeah, but how does the public know about the first reading?
I mean, we share the agendas out. I mean, Anthony puts every document he gets on Facebook.
Is Facebook considered a legal notice of any sort?
So council had originally had a meeting where they invited the community to attend, and people were able to give input. And I think some folks from the community did give input on what tax rates they wanted. Then the next 2 weeks later, council did a meeting where we reviewed all the statutes or all of the ordinances from around the state that we thought were applicable or that they might like. And then I put together a draft ordinance and presented it to council, where we reviewed that as it was a first reading, and then that was later published as required.
Public where?
It was in the Outlook, right?
We don't do that till it's passed.
No, we don't do that.
It wasn't the outlook that I saw.
Okay.
But no, because I'm not, so the first,
Okay.
yeah, she did mention that, and I did look that up, and she was
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Megan, she
Okay.
knows I look up everything she tells me, so I'm like, what?
She does.
So I did look that up, but no, because the first time that Steve presented this, I thought it was gonna be a first reading, and he's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
This is, so this is actually more or less the third reading of this ordinance.
Because what I originally presented were 3 ordinances that were a payroll tax, a license tax, and a occupational or a sales tax or a payroll tax. And then it was council's will that we put them all into one, so that for ease of passing this. So that this would be the 5th meeting
That we talked
that
about
we've
it,
had on this issue.
but this is actually the second reading of an
What
official
I'm saying
ordinance.
is, how has the 2,000 people in Falmouth know anything about this?
Well, they would need to attend our meetings probably to start learning some of these things, but
No.
that's,
That's not an acceptable way, what they ought to do. How many citizens are here tonight?
but that's just that
I'm the only one I know lives in Falmouth, maybe others do. Okay, we got 2 people
I can't make them come.
No, but you can make them aware of it by the outlook for all the time in the past.
And he writes, he covers
No, he
every
writes his
meeting.
interpretation.
But they've known that we were talking about these taxes. I mean, because we did a whole presentation. I did a slideshow. I mean, that's been shared out on.
Let's be honest here. Outlook is only as good as, I mean, yes, it's a legitimate paper, but it's only as good
No
as
offense.
people who are going to buy it and read it, right? It's not like you can just go online and they have some articles online for free, whatever. But you're actually going to have to read it somewhere, go to the library, whatever. I take notes. I take all the documents that we are given, and I will, anything that I can legally share, I will share it on Facebook. Similarly, I know not everybody has access to Facebook, not everybody has access to the Outlook. The point being is we are trying to be as transparent as we possibly can. That is what I bring on, right? So I am publishing all this stuff, and people have the access to the internet arguably easier than they do the Outlook. I mean, you can go to the library and get on the internet for free. And all my stuff is public. You can look it up, you can find it, you can read it. KRS chapter 83A, I think it is, 83A, outlines the legal requirements for a meeting. The legal requirements for a meeting state that we have regular meetings. We have to at least have 1 a month, and we have 2 a month. Those are set by ordinance. At these regular meetings, we do not technically need an agenda, but it's a good idea to follow one, which we do. We publish that, which we do on Facebook. You gotta realize that putting things in the Outlook is how much? Hundreds of dollars per shot?
And it
Right.
runs like their
500?
deadline, and then they only print once a week.
Yeah, so we realistically cannot put every single thing in the Outlook. That's why we post it when we are legally required to do so. It is expensive. No
No offense.
no offense. But, you know, we're not hiding this stuff. I posted my notes where I explicitly stated we are looking at doing an income tax, a business tax, not profits tax, and a overhauling licensing. So really, I'm sorry I'm getting a little worked up, but it's like I don't know what to do here other than defend that we are doing our best to be as transparent as possible. None of this is being hidden. None of this is being swept under the rug. If people don't want to be here, then that is not, we cannot go knock on doors and drag people here. I used to be one of the citizens that sat in that side, and I came here consistently for 2 years before I got on council. And so I know some people have, jobs and life and stuff like that, but we now record the meetings. We publish that on Facebook and YouTube. I share that as soon as it is. Red shares that as soon as it is. And that's another thing. Whenever I make the notes and post these documents, Red will also share it. So it's like we try to make it as freely given as we can.
I understand. Is that the accepted legal way?
The accepted legal way is not doing any of that, saying that this is a regular meeting, we can talk about whatever we want, and it doesn't have to be on the agenda, and so be it. The only time we have to have an agenda and we have to follow it is at a special meeting.
But we did, and this has been on the agenda, and we put it on the agenda. It's reflected in our minutes, multiple minutes, because we've talked about this multiple times leading up to actually having an ordinance. That's on our webpage. The agendas are on our webpage. Every recording's on our webpage. He covers it in the Outlook. It was covered in the Outlook that I went to the fiscal court talking about the payroll tax. So I feel like we've done, apart from mailing flyers out, but again, like that, it gets to a point that, like, we're putting it all out there. Nobody's.
How many comments have you heard from the public about any of it?
I honestly don't hear many comments from the public about much of anything. You've got several keyboard warriors on Facebook that say a lot of things, but generally in my day-to-day conversations with people in the public, they are happy with everything we're doing. They don't ever really, there's not specific topics that they bring up. It's more or less an overall, you're doing a good job, we like seeing the progress, those kind of things. You've got some that.
Actually, to your point,
I actually did reach out to a few business owners right down here in downtown over this specific ordinance to get their feel of it and to get their interpretation and what they thought and whether they agreed with it, they didn't agree with it, what they'd like to see changed and so on and so forth. So I did reach out to a couple business owners down here.
And
in
I
the
think
city
it's
as
pretty
well.
fair to the business owners, cause if they're not making a profit,
Yeah.
they're not paying on it.
Well,
Like,
and
we're
to
not,
that fact,
and
you know,
just the occupational license is the
and-
only part that is even considered on the gross
Yeah,
receipts, and that's
and
because
to
to
that
keep
fact,
from,
this ordinance does also affect every citizen that
yeah,
works.
people working here,
Well,
yeah.
well, not just citizens, but everybody that works within the
Yeah.
city limits of Falmouth. So, you know, I did reach out to not only the business owners, but people that work in the city because this affects them too. And I've had multiple conversations, probably, you know, 10, 15 different people, both business owners and regular citizens. And I can tell you that the consensus of everybody that I talk to, you know, everybody seems to agree that the net profits is, you know, quite fair. Is everybody completely happy with it? No, but everybody does understand that, you know, we do need to make money somehow. We need to bring revenue in. So everybody is pretty much in consensus with, I'm not happy, but I understand and I, you know, for the most part agree. Everybody that I've talked to about the payroll tax, however, they're not so thrilled about the payroll tax, and I can see their side of it too, because, you know, working in the city of Falmouth, you don't make a lot of money as compared to where you would everybody else, so of course they don't want to see their taxes go up in their paycheck, and I understand that too. So
But if
I
they
did
work-
have multiple conversations with multiple citizens and business owners as well, just to get their interpretation on it, because, you know, I feel that it's our job as council to go and speak with the public and try and get the public's interpretation and what they feel, because at the end of the day, as I sit up here, I represent the public, I don't represent myself, I'm here speaking for the public.
And if they worked anywhere else, they would find that that city, more likely than not, is gonna have a payroll tax. Some of them, I mean, you go work in Alexandria, you're paying 2 Campbell County taxes, it's not just, and the Alexandria tax, and then, I mean, it's, there's a very limited ways we can bring in revenue, and this is, I mean, like, we can't keep putting the burden on just the property owners and then the insurance premium tax. We've gotta increase, and we don't wanna increase the property taxes. This is a better way to stabilize it. It also, our property tax, I think when we looked at it over the last, 10, 15 years, it's only increased by, $70,000? Well, I mean, that, paving a road is $100-some thousand per road,
Increased
so.
$1 in the last 5 years, I checked back 5
But
years.
I'm saying, no, it had, like, cause we took the +4 last year, so there was a little bit of an increase last year. They weren't taking the comp for a while. But this spreads the tax obligation, cause the city needs to bring in, and the other sad thing is during the flood, we lost quite a few properties. We're losing more properties than we're gaining new builds, basically, with, I mean, we worked really hard to get our, back taxes, property taxes number down. We're finally under 100 past due properties. But this is the best way, and really the payroll tax is actually the most profitable one. The occupational license fee, basically, on that gross receipts really isn't gonna bring in much money.
I just want to say, I'm not against it. I didn't want to give you the impression I'm against
Yeah.
it. I'm for all this. I'm for the city trying to move forward. So I didn't want anybody to think that I was against any of it.
We just need a motion and a second, if you guys, or unless you guys wanna talk about it some more, or whatever.
I feel like I pretty well hit the nail on the head just with my explanation. I mean, I did talk with multiple people over this, and, you know, personally, I feel the net profits is, you know, I feel the net profits is pretty fair, and I do like the fact that in this, we do have the provision in there for the temporary license. I do like that. The gross receipts, I'm Nah, you know, it's not the best thing, not the worst thing, but,
No,
you
but
know.
the most they're gonna pay is $500, and we did that, so like, somebody making candles,
Doesn't it go
selling
fast
it.
though?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, if they
It
make,
goes-
I
it
mean,
goes-
it goes, it
Oh, okay,
increases
they
more,
more.
yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it,
it
I heard
is,
you go.
it is, you know, because I think that was one complaint when I posted about that. For some reason, a lot of people didn't even know they needed an occupational license, because when I made that post on Facebook, I mean, people were just mad, and it was like, well, how come somebody doing some small home business that, you know, just some little side thing, they're paying the same thing as the dollar store. So this kinda separated that, where the businesses are kinda based off their business size and gross receipts, they are paying a little bit more just in that annual license fee, and not where it's costing a lady making candles at home and the Dollar General the same amount to have a business in the city. So it kind of balanced that out. There's no
Yeah.
perfect, I mean, nobody's happy when you talk
Yeah,
about
no,
taking money.
you're not gonna please everybody. I mean, I understand that, but that was my thing with everybody that I talked with, and
Yeah.
you know, a lot of you know, everybody that I talked with, honestly, that I talked to about this, their biggest hang up was the payroll tax on the individual themselves, and I can sympathize with that. I can completely sympathize with that. And I can see both sides of it. I understand that we need the revenue coming in. If you do go to another city to work, you are going to pay that. So I see both sides of it.
Yeah, I think to your point earlier about the property tax thing, like we can't go back and get that. I mean, theoretically we can, but that opens a whole lot of avenues that with the whole rollback vote or recall vote and rollback process and all that, it's not, the juice isn't worth the gamble for trying to go with more than 4% year over year. And so once that's gone, it's gone. So this is the way we can, I'm not saying only way, but this is the most practical way we can try to make up for past councils of just, you know, letting property taxes go unchanged or minimally. So that being said, I'll make a motion to accept ordinance 2026-1.
I'll second.
Right, we'll go down and vote then. Amanda?
Yep.
Anthony?
Yep.
Craig?
No.
No.
Yes.
Right. We didn't publish that one. Need to sign it. Oh, I guess I need to explain a little bit more. Or no, this is the budget
No,
one's next.
we're
Good,
still
you're good.
going.
You're good. You're the budget one. I'll wait to the water one.
I gotta get to it. This is a first reading of the ordinance 2026-2, amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. You have attached to the ordinance a legal exhibit or legal reference, which shows the line items, the items that are going to be lined out. The changes are bold, are in a highlight there. And then the new amended budget is there in the right-hand column to the end.
And Paul is going to look at the utility stuff just to see if there was anything else we needed to change. But we're hoping that this is it for the budget stuff.
And this is the first reading.
So yeah, we don't need a bit on that one.
The next item that we have is resolution of the city of Falmouth, resolution number.
Is that the new one that we did?
Yes.
No, no.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one, yeah.
Yeah.
Is resolution 050726-1, which is a resolution of the city council of the city of Falmouth, Kentucky, approving an increase in the wholesale water rate in accordance with the Kentucky Rural Water Association wholesale water rate study. This study is attached here too. The change will be $3.28 per 1,000 gallons. which is an increase of 63 cents per 1,000 gallons.
And this has been a process. It's the first one that we are success, and the districts aren't gonna appeal this, they're in agreement to this, this is where we're at. In the first study that we got, there was a $3.7 million project that they had allocated all into the water. 3 million of that was supposed to go into the sewer allocation part because it was the retention basin, but it was all one project that they did, and they got funding, some grant funding for some of it and paid for some of it. But we did one of the water towers is how it ended up in the water allocation thing. So that's initially brought that number down by the time we were having that meeting, that number was already reduced down some. Then it just got into the tedious things I can't answer for, things I don't know. How things were being allocated a couple years ago, we were using older numbers. We are redoing this again in 6 months. So this is where we've agreed to at this point, based off of the numbers we had. Another thing that we struggled with was, we don't really like an asset management system. So apart from going up into the attic and digging out receipts for every daggone repair and fix they've done at that plant over the last years. And I mean, I was up here, we had that meeting on Tuesday. We left with some understanding of where we were at. They were gonna go back and look at some of the numbers again, and then they came back with like, they had to take our vehicle lease expense out of the revenue part or the expense part of it, cause now those aren't expenses going forward, those are paid for, so they needed to go into depreciation. So then we're scrambling to look at what else, is supposed to be going to this depreciation, all that expensive generator that sits down there at that water plant is on there. We added a lot of the repairs that we've done like the last year and a half that we know got done. Some of the other things, some of the pumps were on there already. There was a lot of it was on there. But like, I was up here Saturday trying to get the exact numbers on it's been a process. A lot of room for growth with our record keeping for the water side of things. We did go to a training, Steve was there with us last week, that was really beneficial, but Northern Kentucky Water and Christian and Joe and Don went as well. So we are learning a lot where we need to grow in our management side of the water and stuff. But this does not include the loan. We are actually approving that tonight. So, I mean, Daniel was redoing this. This is why there's a different one that was in here, because this is what they sent us earlier today up till, I kid you, 5 o'clock, I think was the last. Daniel and I are still going. He's going back to Joby in Austin and coming back to me, and this is where we settled at. Because a lot of our issue is like, well, how much is that truck driven for the sewer? How much is it driven for water? How much is it used for the, and it gets hard when we are offering multiple services to make sure that we're balancing all those percentages correctly. So we are at 328. In 6 months, we're gonna do this again. And that will have the loan on it. So it'll go up a little bit more. But the districts are in agreement, it's a fair number, and they won't be appealing this, so this will go into, we'll pass this. Rural Water will do our tariff sheet that we need. That'll get filed with the PSC, and the 2 water districts will get their official service, although they're in agreement to at this point. And in 30 days, this should go into effect. So if we went through the whole appeal process, that holds it up for 6 months. And so this is just, this is where we're at.
So are we still, I know we mentioned it before, but are we still having like a sewer rate study as well, or?
Well, Mark's supposed to get me that. I mean, that was just for the residential more or less, because there's no whole, there's just this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really do anything for that. 'Cause I was
No,
just-
we don't need
I was
an
worried that
actual
you took
study.
the loan off of this, and it's like, how's it gonna reflect on sewer rate?
Well, the sewer, we do need to get to a point that we're budgeting for depreciation and all that kind of stuff. But the sewer plant, we're just trying to get it where the revenue exceeds the expenses on the month to month. We do need to, that was another thing, we do need to start budgeting for depreciation on these things, so that way we are budgeting money to start reinvesting back into these systems, which is not something that they have been doing. So that's where there's a lot of room to grow. They had a great asset management plan that Northern Kentucky Water showed us in one of the presentations on Wednesday. I mean, like I really, that training, I really enjoyed it, and I think it was really beneficial. We're still working with rural water, and we're trying to still, they were here doing a 2-day training. Christian's going to utility university management or something, UMI, that rural water offers. He'll sign up for that in October. That's 6 classes that he'll take over the course of next year, and that's all on utility management. And so there's a lot of, I've said it many times, there has been nobody really managing the utilities, and it shows. So, but we're on the right track.
Step at a time.
Step at a time. I mean, we started this process 3.5 years ago, and here we are, so I just wanna get this done.
I ask you what they're paying Harrison County or Campbell County for water?
They pay Northern Kentucky Water for something, but so there's other contributing factors into that. They don't buy anything from Harrison. I think it's just, one of them buys a little bit from Bracken, or Augusta essentially, but I think they get it from Bracken. I think Austin buys a little bit maybe from Williamstown, but like, so Northern Kentucky Water, it's also the distance it's in that distribution system, because they're pumping it, they're getting water out from a plant much further. So that plays a part into their wholesale rate. It's not, it's a whole study process, and in this cap, so they pay so much towards the production of the water, then they're only responsible for so much of the distribution, and that's essentially how long their water is in the parts of our system. So like East Pendleton, when you come right out of the plant, there's a pipe that turns left right away. East Pendleton has a meter there, and then East Pendleton, then everything goes up the hill to the reservoirs, goes out to East Pendleton has another pump off the Shoals Tower south of town. Austin has a pump over by the athletic park, and then one going out 27. So they only have to pay, it's a formula they use to determine how much of our distribution expense essentially they have to contribute to. So like the rate from Northern Kentucky Water is higher because they're traveling that water so much further south.
Who was negotiating for us with that?
It's rural water, Kentucky Rural Water sat down and they did kind of the mediating. It's based off of what we can prove in its receipts, expenses, our audited numbers, how much water we're making.
Who was representing that?
Just Joby was here in Austin, Monroe, their managers. They had one board member that showed up, but he didn't say anything. And it was really just me and Joby, for the most part. And it's about what numbers that we can show and what's the expenses, and
To show to them or to the public service?
we don't have to go to the PSC. We will file the tariff with the PSC.
Well, why do we have to show them anything? Because we're producing the water.
Because they are regulated by the PSC dictates what they can buy the water from us to make sure the rates are fair. And it's not an easy thing to get through. We have nothing to do with the PSC. The PSC has no control over us. We can say we're gonna sell the water for $5 every 1,000 gallons. The PSC will come in and say they can't buy it. So they can't buy that water from us at that rate. And then our other hiccup though is we have a contract with them that says for 39 years we're selling them water. So we have to sell them the water at a fair rate that the PSC gets to audit essentially.
Did they tell them they couldn't pay the 421 that your study showed?
Well, we couldn't get that number because they had included a sewer project into our depreciation amount that shouldn't have been there. So we had to take that out because it wasn't actually a water expense, it was for the sewer plant. So that's why it had to come back down.
Why did it have to?
Because we can't.
We're the sellers, they're the buyers, and we're jumping through their hooks.
it's not their hoops, it's the PSC's hoops, and it's, if we hired an independent rate analysis. Rural Water is an independent person from any of us. They're not a part of PSC, they're not a part of us, they are an independent association. They had they call them a rate analysis. And coincidentally, a lot of these rate analysis people are retired from the PSC at some point in time. So that's how they become familiar with how the PSC does this.
All this?
Which part?
Well, the regulations and all that we can do, what we can't do.
Well, so we tried this before with, when we didn't think we had to listen to them. And they tried this in 2006 and the PSC.
County $4 and something.
Because that's what that costs them to produce the water and travel the water that far down.
Did they make them go all through this?
Yeah, no, everybody does. If you're selling to a wholesale, well, Northern Kentucky Water has to do, they have to answer to the PSC because they are, just like the districts have to answer to the PSC, they regulate all their rates. Like we're us, we don't. For municipalities, we're not regulated by them, but if we're gonna sell to a wholesale customer, then we have to follow their rules. But Northern Kentucky Water has to follow all their rules all the time because they do have authority over the water districts, and Northern Kentucky Water is a water district.
Yeah, like the race I was talking about earlier.
Like we wouldn't be allowed to do that.
The water districts have to file that with the PSC, and the PSC gives them the green light, like, yep, you can sell this water to your people. But we as a municipality-owned utility, you know, we do that directly. So we don't answer to the PSC. We just put it in an ordinance, and we say that's how much we're selling it for to the residents.
That is the difference. Anytime the districts want to increase their rate, any water district, they have to go through the PSC to get approval, to show the PSC that they need the increase and it meets the requirements of all their things for their fair studies to show what, like they have, and they are fully audited and regulated by the PSC. The PSC comes down and does audits on them, on their actual businesses. And that did happen to us in 2006 when we tried to do that rate increase then. The PSC came down here and audited our stuff and realized that the number we were asking for, we were actually should have been asking for a little bit less. Well, this time, so that's why you do these rate studies and you hire these other people to do all that math for you to say, this is what it costs, this is what the rate should be. And we tried that before and the districts didn't agree to it and they appealed it and that became a big mess for us. And then we said we weren't gonna sell them water anymore, and then that got us investigated by the PSC because you can't do that. And so here we are now. We had to do a second rate study and this has been 3.5 years. And I mean, we started at 198, so now we're going to 328. So that's pretty good. And when you look at the other rates around us, it is comparable because when we thought we were gonna get that 4 something, that was on the higher end of everyone else around us. Northern Kentucky Water, they're more expensive because they're traveling the water so far.
Just one other question. How much is it cost the city so far for the studies, the last 3 years or whatever?
The districts had to pay, we split this one, it was like 13, well, it was supposed to be 13,000 because of the hiccups in the process and how long it took. Basically any work that they had done since like February to now, they aren't charging us for. And the agreement initially was the districts and the city would split the cost of this rate, which was supposed to be 13,000, but they never even sent us the third final invoice for it because they told us that in that meeting because of the issues with getting it done.
Well, I read in Bracken paper, Augusta just went through all this because they furnished Bracken County all the water.
Yeah, they do.
They spent $100,000 and they're allowed to recoup that to all the customers. Are we allowed to recoup any of this?
The rate cost, the
You
cost.
put that in the study, I believe.
Yeah, like it's parted, it's, here, you can have, this, you can have that.
Well, I've got, I don't know if it's the same thing.
Well, this is the one that we're using to, this is the final one that they sent me.
Okay, well, I'm just asking, are we able to?
It should be included in here. It's included in what the cost of our water was or whatever, in their formula.
Our third, you mean, is figured into that?
Yeah, well, and this is our second one, so it's counted as an expense.
It's just, I think the people of Falmouth have been subsidizing for 30 years.
Oh, yeah, and you can't go back and get any money back.
No, but
Yeah.
we could move forward pretty aggressive rate.
And that's why we're redoing it again in 6 months. Like that was already, it's gonna be increased again in 6 months. So, cause we're taking this $1.2 million loan to do work at the plant, so that's gonna be reflected in their next, so that's why we're doing it again in 6 months. Normally they say wait 3 years, but because we're taking that debt on, they're gonna redo it in 6 months for us. And they said it won't take nearly as long, cause they have all of a start, I mean, cause that's the other thing, it was hard. Other places do this every couple of years, so they'll just call and it's more or less just updating their numbers for the most part. We haven't done one of these in decades, so it was a lot to get together. So now we have a good baseline and it's just done. Everyone's in agreement. And I fought hard to get these last 2 cents back on at the last 30 minutes of the conversation because it got that, like, I mean, it's been a back and forth all day, but.
Yeah, when we sell 80% of our water to them, that 2 cents can add up really quick.
Yeah, because the number after they sent the email initially this morning was lower when they called me back the first time. And then we got to this number and this is where we're at. Because then when Steve sent me the loan, I was like, oh, well, let me call them. And I called Daniel back again right away and he's like, let's just get this one done and we'll do it again in 6 months. And that gives us more time for us to go back through our books too to see if there's anything else we can add to our depreciation list. But we didn't want to put it off longer because we're missing revenue because you can't go back and backdate it. So I just need a motion for you guys to pass this because it's a resolution, so it's.
You wanna do it?
Yeah, we've been waiting for this. I make a motion that we increase the wholesale water rate to $3.28 per 1,000.
Second.
Oh, everybody in favor, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, now back to.
Yes.
You should say resolution passes.
Resolution passes.
Alright, the next resolution is a resolution of the city of Falmouth, 050726-2. This is a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a municipal aid co-op program contract between the city of Falmouth and the Transportation Cabinet. This is for the local aid road money. And that money would come in on July 1st, 2026.
Here's a dumb question, this isn't the money that we got on the other stuff, this is just our regular yearly, or is this?
This is the LARC money, right? That was approved by the legislature, those guys.
Those guys. It's a no-brainer, I accept the resolution. Oh.
I still have questions, hold on.
Oh.
But on here it says it's only like 42 altogether and then 24.
This should be your LARC money. Yeah, that's the first distribution, 24. And then you draw down the second and then the final. So the total amount is $42,000.
For all 4 roads?
I believe this is an agreement they sent to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm not.
I'm not sure either. Cause I thought it was broke down, where did I see the breakdown? Somebody had broken it down where it was actually said how much we were getting per street. That's what I was asking, like, is this the other money that we just, cause there's 2 different funds for the road stuff.
This may not be the LARC fund, this may just be your
Municipal road aid,
fund, yeah.
that's what I, okay, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that, cause the LARC is the local
Yeah,
road
because it
assistance
just changed
program.
that, yeah, okay, okay,
I said
good.
the wrong thing.
So we're getting extra money, okay.
You should get more money.
We just don't, it's not very good. Okay, so,
Good now.
yeah, I'm good, I just had questions, yes.
Now I make a motion to accept resolution 050726-2.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Resolution is passed.
Hopefully the next ones are easy.
Yes.
This should be, when I get to it. Resolution of the City of Falmouth, resolution number 050726-3, a resolution approving the mayor's reappointment of Joanne Cordray to the City of Falmouth Code Enforcement Board for a 3-year term, beginning May 1st, 2026, and ending April 3rd, 2029.
And we're staggering them, so this one is the 3-year.
Who's what is people? I know David's not currently on there, but who else is on there? Is everyone else currently seated?
No,
Oh, okay.
Joanna's and Carolyn.
Okay.
They have been serving previously, which helps a little bit for the fact of some experience into it, so you just don't have a whole new board of people. So then David would be on there, and then Stella, cause they only actually need 3, but this would give them a 4th. I don't think there's anything that says they can't have all 4 there to discuss it and all those things. It just gives them the flexibility of, they need at least 3 of them to have their meetings. So it gives them a little more, and if we can find a 5th, that would be great, because our ordinance says that they're allowed to have up to 5. So it just gives them more flexibility to get at least a minimum of 3 of them there together.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, so David and Stella are
New.
new appointees, okay.
Yes.
Can we change the verbiage in the resolution? It says reappointment.
I just realized that. I'll
Okay.
fix it.
Yeah, cause when I looked at it, I was
When
like,
he read it, I was
oh,
like, wait, that's wrong. I'll fix it.
Oh, I just need a
What you
motion,
got?
to pass for Joanne to go on, back on the board.
I make a motion to approve Joanne Cordray to the Code Enforcement Board, resolution 050726.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Is this one a reappointment or
No,
an
he's a
appointment?
new
Just a
one.
point.
He's in the point, okay. This is a resolution of the City of Falmouth, resolution 050726-4, a resolution approving the mayor's appointment of David Huck to the City of Falmouth Code Enforcement Board for a 2-year term beginning May 1st, 2026, and ending April 30th, 2028.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution to the mayor's appointment for David Huck.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Resolution passed.
Don't worry, you don't need to do the long-winded oath of office for boards.
This is
Just welcome aboard, there you go.
This is a resolution of the City of Falmouth, resolution number 050726-5, a resolution approving the mayor's reappointment of Carolyn Reed to the City of Falmouth Code Enforcement Board for a 1-year term beginning May 1st, 2026, and ending April 30th, 2027.
Everybody, motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve resolution 050726-5.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
This is a new one. Resolution passed.
A resolution of the City of Falmouth, resolution number 0507-2026-6, a resolution approving the mayor's appointment of Stella Hayes to the City of Falmouth Code Enforcement Board as an alternate for a 3-year term beginning May 1st, 2026, and ending April 30th, 2029.
Just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve appointing Stella Hayes to the Code Enforcement Board as an alternate.
Need a second.
I'll make a second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
resolution passed. We're still seeking one more, if anybody knows another person that would like to jump on the board.
This one is not on your agenda, but it is there before you. This would be resolution number 0507-2026-7. There is in this large packet, it is gonna be Exhibit C, so it's way
Okay.
in there, but I will explain to you what it does. If you're really interested in reading it all, you can. This is a resolution approving a lease for the financing of a project, providing for the payment and security of the lease, authorizing the execution of various documents related to such lease, and making certain designations regarding the lease. This is in relation to the Adams R. Scripps Foundation loan that the city will be taking out. These are all of your loan documents. They have been reviewed by about 9 attorneys. So we think that we've gotten it all right here. But this would allow the city, so it's called a lease. Under Kentucky law, we can only enter into loans for so long. I think 5 years is the limit. But we can enter into leases that are essentially loans. And so it says the word lease, but it's a loan. It operates as a loan. There's interest and money that is lent and to be paid. And so this is the loan that we've been talking about the whole time. It's just confusing because it says lease.
I think the state legislature would fix that.
I think you gotta fix the Constitution. So good luck with that.
Just like the oath of office, is the Constitution in it, I think, should, give us a break there.
Yeah. We gotta take the duals part out.
Yeah.
So they're giving us 20 years to pay it back?
Yep.
It
Yep.
is 2.25 was the interest rate.
That's correct.
And Mark Stevens was here today, to, like how we did the sewer plant project and we approved all that. He's getting one together for the water plant. And with that, we are looking at flood proofing the water plant. And we might go after, some FEMA money that flood had to this mitigation money, to build some type of wall and flood proof the water plant itself. That's not what the 1.2 is going towards. The 1.2 is going to other repairs that they need to make, some valve things in the basement, on the pumps, the clear well tanks in the back. But he's coming in though to inspect, and then the electrical upgrade. They've got an electrical engineer coming in to give us details on that. But with this plan, I figured since we're taking a loan out on the plan itself, it would be smart to look at the long-term plan for the plant. And so we wanna look at flood-proofing the plant, to survive. He said that it would be a 50-year flood, or 500-year flood or something, more than what they're doing now. And then we would look at rebuilding the plant maybe in phases. It's in 3 separate buildings now. But that is something they're planning apart from this, or with this essentially, but as a long-term plan. But the 1.2 is going into the repairs and different things that it needs now. But I wanted to make sure we weren't just putting money into something that essentially might not be there in 5 years. So that's why we wanted to look at the long-term plans for the plant. So he will get that to us as soon as he gets that ready. He was just here today. We were talking about that.
And there are your grant is in here as well, so your loan and your grant are in here. But we're authorizing, you don't really need to authorize the grant as much as just getting in your loan.
The table with the payments on it.
They slipped the butler in there, but that's a reference, that's not actually an exhibit to the agreement.
Alright. I just noticed, wait a second, do we have one?
Yes, because we've done them all together, and so there is one, we'll get it to you.
Cool.
Yeah, we're not paying butlers bills.
We're not, well,
Although
it's
we
gonna be
could
cheaper.
switch, yeah, I mean, we could give them, just don't tell them. We'll just give them ours, maybe he won't.
I think I'm bound by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah,
It's,
that resolution.
it's on Exhibit C. Yeah, it's 7/05/07/26-7. It's about midway through the packet.
It's like 3 pages past page 19 or whatever in the packet.
Yeah, no, I do have it, there's just not a resolution number on there, that's.
Yeah.
No big deal.
We didn't have it until today.
Yeah.
Until we got it.
No big deal.
We just need a motion. Then second.
Make a motion to accept resolution 05/07/26-7.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Resolution passed.
And then the last piece of legislation that we have, this is not legislation, proclamation 05/07/26, declaring May 2026 as National Treatment Court Month. Whereas treatment courts save an average of $6,000 for every individual they serve. This is something that we do here in the state of Kentucky, and Mayor had asked to make this declaration.
So do they need to, or just?
You just you speak it from on high. Nobody. This is all you.
Okay, well, I make the month of May the National Treatment Court Month. I guess it's back to.
Proclamation passed.
So I guess now it's back to me. So, as we discussed the last meeting, I'm not gonna be here for that public forum they're doing that the AD's coming down to do. The AD would like, me to have somebody there to represent the city. I've reached out to Anthony, since he likes to, discuss and plan and all those things. I'm not sure, how many people are gonna be there, so hopefully he doesn't have stage fright, but you agreed that you were gonna,
Remember what I asked you, it was June 2nd, was there a time that was decided?
I don't think they sent, I'm not for sure if they actually sent me the time.
They just said where that's gonna be.
I assumed somewhere in the county, but.
I'll let you know.
I just asked, 'cause I think it's a Tuesday, isn't it? It's during the week,
So it just says the Pendleton County Community Forum is officially scheduled and will be held on June the 2nd at the Pendleton County Extension Office.
Okay.
And then she didn't tell me a time. I can find out a time.
I probably was going to say it's during the week, so if it, ideally, if it's after work, I definitely can.
It'll be in the
Fine.
evening.
Okay.
It'll definitely be in the evening.
That should be fine as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah, it'll be in the evening. They just have not told me a time. But I will find out for sure. So if it's during the day and Anthony cannot attend, is there somebody else that would like to go speak on behalf of the city? And I don't think there'll be, much. It's more like us there to listen.
Yeah.
But Ivy said that they will go over everything with whoever I have come to represent the city.
It's during the day, I can't do it.
Oh geez, yeah, Stonewall jumped in at once.
Mr.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's a possibility, but probably not.
You're working too, right?
Yeah, but I get off at anywhere from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. Do you have any interest in doing that?
I'm just not an eloquent speaker as Red or Anthony.
I just ramble.
Call myself a speaker about that.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it'll be in the evening, but I'll find out for sure. And then if it does work out, then I'll have Anthony go kind of speak on this, and I hope more of you can attend. Yeah. Yeah, and they're supposed to be streaming it, because I at least want to be able to listen to what, like, I'll watch it from there, from New York, but I won't be able to speak, so. All right. Lastly, the insurance, the employee health insurance, we sat down with KLC, and PEI.
Yes, public and.
Yes. They came in with their healthcare assessment, and we went over all of it. And if, like, they gave us all the plans, all the different options. You guys can look them over. What it comes down to is we could say, okay, well, we're gonna have them, you know, we'll go with and down at the bottom, it shows you, we're only taking a 4% increase, which is really good. Last year was a 7%, and some of the other cities are getting, like, was it 9%? It was more than, but it's because we haven't had a lot of claims this year that kind of look at this, that's a big factor into this.
Does it help we got rid of trash and people stop injuring themselves?
Well, that's work comp, that's separate,
Yeah.
that'll
I
be
mean-
on the next round of, this is just the health insurance. And so we looked at, if we renew on the current plan, which is a $250 deductible for a single, $750 for family, we don't have anybody on the family plan. We have actually had one person sign, because last year we did actually give them some money towards we pay 100% of the employee, but then we also were paying some of the employee child. And so there's one person out of all the employees that signed up on that plan. The rates are at the bottom, so right now it's $1,089. It's going to go to $1,133 on the 4% increase. We could look at doing some of the other plans, but with that, it doesn't save much. Like, it's not, even on what we would be contributing, it's not saving us much if we try and put them on a higher deductible. Like, say we move them to the $750 deductible, it's only saving us, I'm not great with math here, but not even $100. And so, like, that's kind of, now they're getting stuck with the payroll tax just like everybody else that they're gonna have to pay. But like, that's just not enough benefit to stick them with. I mean, the family deductible for that is $2,250. And so even the person like on an employee child, they're on that family deductible then. Like, we're really increasing their deductible amount, and it's really not saving us much on the end of what we're paying for their coverage. You could go down further, because they gave us from the best plan, there's a plan even above ours that's better than ours, it's a cheaper deductible, it's only $100. And it's like $40 more a month than the plan that we're currently on. But like, they gave us all the way down to, what'd you say, the Cadillac, to like the Pinto here. So like at the lowest Pinto plan, it's a $5,000 single, $10,000 family deductible, and it's only bringing our monthly payment contribution down from the $1,100 down to $827. And so like, it's not, there's not much savings there to put them on a different plan. I mean, because we've talked about all the options, the health insurance, like doing the HSA cards, contributing to that. Like, there's just not much room there to do much. So I would like to keep them on the current plan they're on and just go ahead and renew that. We're not gonna save, I mean, even going to the lowest plan for a family, it's still over $2,500 a month, and they're gonna have a $10,000 deductible. Like, that's just not, it's just not there. So I think we still need to, in this budget year, of course, we pay 100% of the employee. I still want a budget to pay for and more on toward the employee child like we are. So it's only kind of costing, I think, the one employee like less than $500 a month in premium for them and their child. But that's kind of where we're at. They did look at, pulling us out of the KLC group and looking at other insurance groups, and you're looking at, I mean, what you say, like a 24% increase on our premium cost?
This is the best option.
So that's a no-go, like that just would be more money for us to pull out.
And there isn't any way, have we ever been in like the state of Kentucky pool or are we eligible?
No, this is we're eligible for, like, so the Kentucky League of Cities, like, they pull together all the cities that are like that they can basically, and so that's, and so we get the benefit of, because we are a smaller city, so that's one thing that kind of hurts us, like, you know, other cities that have more employees paying in, they of course get better premiums. We don't have a lot of employees to begin with, so it struggles there, but this is the best way, so we still get the benefit of the total numbers. There's other places that I've looked at self-insuring, and that could go backwards very quickly. But we even looked at pulling out of KLC this year and going into, like, Anthem kind of controls that whole market, and it's gonna be a huge increase, so.
So KLC is the one that actually like services the insurance, or is it like KLC gets it all sorted out and it's actually like, is it UHC or Anthem or?
No,
someone else?
it's through, it's an Anthem care.
I was just
KLC
curious.
does all the
Oh,
quotes and
okay.
We're like a pool
Stuff for
investment
us.
of everybody,
Yeah.
so they kind of pull us, like, we would be one big company, basically, more or less on some standards, and then PEI is actually who comes in and,
actually does it.
yeah, they facilitate it all for KLC.
So who is the actual, the
Anthem
anthem?
is their carrier, and then, like, the only suggestion they did make was we were looking at, like, a change that we could maybe save a little bit of money, but we can't because it was on the vision, because we don't pay their vision. The employees pay their dental and vision, not that it's much. We talked about the life insurance, they get a standard, we pay the $20,000 standard. They are going to, Megan's going to make sure that all the employees know that, cause there's only one person signed up on that. And I was kinda shocked, or for the additional. That we only one employee signed up for anything additional for the 20,000, so she's gonna kind of put that back into the employees that, like, they have to pass some little, like, waiver questions to see if they'd be eligible to increase their insurance at this point. But they could, because I was kind of shocked that, there weren't more that we're paying, cause it's not much, it's only a couple more dollars a month that they're paying to have more coverage. But everyone, we pay the standard 20, we pay the short-term disability and their long-term disability. So they pay anything over their standard for their life insurance and then their vision and dental.
I'm over here flabbergasted that the deductible's only $250.
It's fantastic.
Mine's a lot. I have a $3,000 deductible and I have
Last
hundreds
year-
of dollars I pay myself for my premium.
Ours is through UHC, and our their deductible last year was $1,000. Maximum out of pocket was $2,500, and then this year they went all haywire to the point where our company is actually reimbursing us. It's like the deductible's now $2,500, and the company reimburses $1,500 to kind of make it less bad.
That's nice. I don't need them. My
But yeah,
company's not
just
very
seeing that
rich.
it's like there's a completely zero missing there, it's like, wow.
No, I know, and that's it though, but so and that's where I was looking, cause I thought for sure if we would take them down to a higher deductible, and if we gave them an HSA card and we put so much money in towards the deductible, that would really help on the front side of the premium cost, and it doesn't. Like, it's not much of a difference. I was kinda shocked. Cause it shows it in, like, it goes through here on the HSA plan to put them at a $5,000 deductible. It only brings it down to $827. It's only a couple $100, which is, but not still not a lot. I mean, you're still paying over $2,500 for the family plan.
I used to do an HSA when I was in my 20s, and not, I would say unhealthy, but before I had gallbladder issues, and then once I had that, I was like, nope, PPO now.
I'm on a HSA plan. Oh, so that was kind of their suggestions. We kind of stay where we're at. And I kind of agree. I don't think that putting more cost on the employees is really gonna save us in the long run in the pocket. I don't know if you guys, we can look at increasing more that we're contributing to the employee child, but we can figure that out in the budget year. Yes, but are you guys good with sticking with the plan they're on?
Yeah,
Okay.
do that. You keep your insane as well.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Oh, I know, right?
Don't answer that one.
You know, the county magistrates and all them, they all get county insurance. Yeah, like,
Yeah, I've
can we
been
just
asked
put in the
before.
ordinance that, like, if we're on the city council, or like, we could get city insurance?
Yeah, there are some, like Covington, they had insurance, yeah.
See?
But I think that would probably be considered like a wage where it wouldn't count until
And
next
I-
council.
And I,
Yeah,
I don't,
no way.
and
You
that
can't
was the
benefit
next
yourself.
one, I don't think you could do it now, it'd have to
Yeah.
be for you.
Like, we could do
Well,
it
we
now,
could do
but
it now,
it
and it
would
would
be for
benefit whoever
whoever
comes,
gets
gets
elected,
voted,
yeah.
yeah. No, I was just joking, it was just.
That's what we always say about pay raises in Frankfurt. We've never given ourselves a pay raise.
I guess the loophole, and that's actually an interesting question. I thought about that last week. It's like, let's say everybody were to rerun and get reelected. Not that we should do this. I'm just as like a hypothetical weird gray area. So in that month and some change, like, would we be able
Oh,
to
the end of the year.
pull, like, do an ordinance change to like increase pay, and then we're reelected, so we know we're gonna be
Oh,
on
he's talking
council
about
next
from the
time around.
November to the.
I guess you could, yeah.
I was wondering if there was any sort of like state legislators like, mm-mm.
I'm not aware of any law that says you can't, that allows out, you can't.
I saw, something came up on my thing, but I think it was a fiscal court maybe, that where they had just voted themselves some like huge increase
Yeah.
in, like, it, I don't know, it popped up on my, like, it was some big story. I didn't read all the details. It was, but the city attorney was passed, or I think
They
it was
cut
the
it
county
short.
attorney, it was
Oh,
the
yeah.
county attorney, yeah, because he was asking, that person had been asking for a raise and went through all this stuff to try and get one, and then I wanna say it was a fiscal court just came in and just didn't even have it on the agenda, just voted themselves one, like a huge raise.
You could also all lose and then go to the next council gets no money.
So you're
That's fair.
saying come November,
I guess
we
it is
all
a
lose
double-edged
in our
sword,
seat.
you know.
Okay.
Next council's doing it for free.
Yeah, cause then they can't vote themselves a pay raise, so.
Yeah.
Alright, I lost my thing. Committee reports.
Already got ours, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So ours, so I had sent out an email earlier at the beginning of the week to invite, both the police department representatives and fire department representatives to come speak with us. Pretty much just so we can touch base with them as a committee, see how they're doing, what their needs are, what they'd like to see moving forward, and, get suggestions on, what they feel they need for the budget for next fiscal year, and where they feel they can save money, where they can't save money, kind of sort of trying to get ahead of the curve there as far as our budget goes for the public safety aspect of it. I did, Marty and Timon both did, show up and talk with us, so we spent the majority, our entire meeting talking with them about, how the department's doing, how, they'd like to proceed moving forward. We talked a lot about numbers, went over what they're projected to be at for this year, as well as what we would like to see going forward. And I think the general consensus of it was we would like to be at least 770 for their next fiscal year. Their budget to be 770. I threw out 750, just, it would save another 20,000, but realistically, if we could get them back down to 770,
it would, it would lessen the burden on us, pretty good chunk. So, the PD agreed they're going to take the 770, they're gonna work the numbers, and they're gonna make it work. They're gonna find what the best schedule for them would be, with those numbers, and they're gonna prioritize low to no overtime as well as the most amount of coverage that they could possibly provide with what they can do within their budget. So they're gonna go through, revisit that, they're gonna look at that. So I'm kinda eager to see what we can get, cause I think it'll be good for us to be able to look at something before we do the budget for next fiscal year, kinda give us a good idea of what we're looking at. Like I said, so we spent the entire meeting talking with them about that. It was a good conversation, so it was nice to be able to talk with them and, see exactly where they stand. And whatever we can do to, kind of give them a better peace of mind and, better morale over there, I'm all for it. And likewise, like I said, I sent it out to all the department heads. Nobody from fire was able to make it, but, I'm hoping we can catch up with them and, get their plans for moving forward and see what they need for next fiscal year. That way their budget also reflects what they need as well. So that's about all we covered in there.
Moving council comments. I got a couple updates, just overall. So we went to that training last week, we talked about that. Went to Rural Waters up here doing that training. Northern Kentucky Water is going to allow our public works guys to come up and shadow with them a little bit for some more detailed job training on like leak detection and locating water leaks and different things like that. Mark Stevens was here getting our I&I project. We're getting that organized, because we're trying to go after some different funding for that, so we need to organize that a little bit better. But he's also doing the water plant. He's also going to come up and look at the culvert pipe that runs under Highway 22 over here, where that's kind of sinking in behind that glass shop. But we're going to try and get him to kind of basically do all the work for that project, and then go to the state and be like, well, here, this is what we need, but can you help us find funds? Because that's actually a state road. But we have a culvert pipe that's running underneath it in the middle of the road's collapsing. I don't know if you guys have noticed that right in front of it, the glass shop. But then that culvert goes all the way through that yard behind the glass shop, and it's caving in back there too. So we're looking at that. Buchanan is coming to start doing some of the sewer manhole repairs that we need. I think it was like 68 on that list that was identified back in 2018, and not one has been done ever yet. So they are coming up. We're hoping to get maybe 25 of them done for around 35,000. So they're going to come up and do the first bit of it, and we're going to focus, of course, on the streets we're paving, and then Sycamore Street, because we know that's a huge problem area for us with taking in a lot of I&I there. And then we're going to try and just see what we can get done, and that will consist of what each manhole needs. Some need completely replaced, some of them just need re-grouted, some of them they can line and paint. They partner with Sherman-Williams on this lining stuff they put in, but so they're gonna come up and start doing that work. Brian Storts was here looking at the creek over here by the skate park, and we're trying to get some grant money to dredge out a little bit of that creek to widen it where it's really, there's some parts of it that are really, really narrow now, and that kind of pushes back the flow, and that's more between, not this end of the Main Street to Robbins. It gets right before there, over on the Main Street area, it gets real shallow there. But with that, we're looking at making that more of a nature-inspired green space. And he sent me a picture of like a nature-inspired play area, like kids' play area. So we're gonna try and look up some different options of what we can put down there in addition with the money we're getting to kind of clean it out some and put some new, we need stuff to stabilize the bank if we're gonna clear out some of that stuff. And so there were some different ideas of like planting fruit trees and different things that he came up with. What else? Megan is working on she's getting ready to publish our tax list. We put out the notices there. We're gonna start sharing that on the webpage next week. It's gonna get published in the Outlook in June. And then after that, we're going to look at doing like a tax lien sale. Mayfield does one, so we're gonna pick their brains on how exactly to go through that process, since we would be doing it instead of like the sheriff's, the county clerk's office. I mean, the other option would be doing like a mass foreclosure through the circuit court, and that just, I think just selling everyone's tax liens would be just an easier route. Because then we could recoup some money there, hopefully.
So what does that do? Like, I'm just.
So people will buy your lien, and then they can go take foreclosure on your property through the court. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I think like it's not, I don't know if like they really foreclose on the property. I think in some, but I think you still have the option just to pay off the debt.
Yeah,
Pay
they buy
that
the tax
judgment.
bills.
Yeah.
They buy the tax bills and then they, charge interest, notify the folks that they bought them. And then if you have like a blighted property or dilapidated property, they might foreclose on it. And they would bear all the costs of that instead of the city.
The county does it every year. So we're going to, and we've gotten I think we've got it down $50,000 since when we first started talking about it, and we're finally down to like under 100, right at 98 properties or something now.
There's been more since then.
That we've gotten paid off. So we're getting there. She's also mailing out notices to the landlords to make sure that they get their license, their occupational license. I think that's kind of it. Any public comments?
I'd like to talk about the police department
Okay.
and just saying about how proud I was when I found out that we were getting a K-9 to come to our department and in our city. And last month we talked that it's going to retire, which I don't think is the proper term that we should be using. It's too expensive. And ever since I started paying attention to our police department, it's been a revolving door around chiefs, assistant chiefs, supervisors, sergeants, new hires, new officers, revolving door all the time. And I'm wondering, why are we having such a terrible time keeping officers here? And now we're getting rid of, in my opinion, our best officer, Kari, I believe is how it's pronounced. And there's been, I can't tell you how many officers that's been brought in. I'm assuming that we're footing the bill to put them through the academy. They stay here for how many months?
They have to stay for a minimum of 5 years now, I think. But before that law went into effect, so I think Jonathan's the only one that falls into that. I think before that, like Matt's contract, I don't know if it was for 5 or for 3 years.
It was for 3.
For 3, and then I think Matt was the first one that we'd sent through the academy since maybe it was years, right?
Yeah, it was Donnie White's wife.
Yeah,
Heather
and
was the last one.
yeah, and I don't even think at that point, I don't think they were doing the contracts. And so we would send them to the academy, because there was one that went right before her, and we sent, wasn't a part of any of this, I lived here that long, that, like, they sent that person to the academy, and like, within weeks of him graduating, he left. The dog situation, unfortunately, when we got the dog, Kyle was the handler, and he had more experience with more time being a police officer, and they generally want you to have the 5 years experience of like being a patrol officer before you take on the police dog, and that kind of got dumped on Jonathan, and he did a phenomenal job, but it came down to training. He would have to go leave the city for training. So like we really, with the limited budget that we have, we were trying to focus on keeping our officers in. I mean, I hated the idea of getting rid of the dog, but on the other hand, she really wasn't being utilized just because of his. I'm not trying to speak negatively in any regard about Officer Bayless, but if she might have been used a lot more as an asset with a more experienced officer to be the handler.
Why don't we move Cario to a more experienced handler?
Do I?
Why don't we move?
Um,
That,
I asked that from the beginning because I wanted her to go to one of the more senior officers that we had on staff, but none of them wanted to take that task on. Is I guess the fair way to put it.
well, I think a fair thing to say is that, you know, that's their job. That's their job to protect our citizens with the assets that we have, which, like I said earlier, that canine was one of the best assets that we've added to our department in years.
Oh no, I mean I agree, and because that was kind of my thing. She's great. I mean, you get her out of the car and these stops and all these things, but the reality is she just wasn't being utilized.
I can speak on it if you would like me to.
Yeah, you would take that over.
So Officer Bayless, he was very interested. You are correct. Normally, we do not issue a canine out to an officer that just got out of the academy because we want them to learn how to be a street officer before they take on the extra responsibility. The dogs were offered, but because of living conditions or other animals in the house or anything else, that's the reason why none of the other senior officers took the dog. It's a lot of extra responsibility. It's a lot of extra training. One of the reasons why the upper echelon did not, me specifically, is because I didn't feel like I could be gone for 4 weeks or 5 weeks and run the department from another state. As far as the utilization, I agree with the mayor. She is a huge asset. She is capable of being a huge asset. The issue with the utilization, one, was because of manpower. If he makes a traffic stop, he cannot initiate the traffic stop, write the citation, walk the dog around, and do all that. He's legally not allowed to do that because that'll delay the stop. So the reason why she wasn't utilized as much as she could is because we didn't have another officer on duty to be able to do the citation or make the contact while he was walking the dog. So as far as she was multi-trained. She was drugs. She was a apprehension dog. They don't use bite dog anymore. She was apprehension. She was designed to detain, and we did utilize her for that on a couple occasions. The crime is down right now. Her utilization is down right now because of the fact that we're not running into the drug cars like we did in the past. We're not running into the drug houses like we did in the past. So it's just a constant mix-up of everything. It was not our idea to get rid of her either. I mean, but it was what was best for her and what was best for the department at the time, and we stand behind that decision. If she's not being utilized, she's not doing what she was designed to do or trained to do, so it's not really fair for her either to come and sit in a car for 10 hours a day and not get utilized. But there's only certain times we can utilize her and there's certain times we can't. So, you know, a lot of juvenile calls, we get out and handle juveniles. She cannot be deployed on a juvenile. Cannot happen. So, you know, there's a lot of, I guess my comment, there's a lot of things going into it. Yeah, hindsight looking at it, yeah, she was a great asset. But there's a lot that goes behind having a dog as well. There's a lot of liability that goes behind having a dog as well. The liability of not being able to utilize her for what she was trained for, it didn't make sense at the time to keep her at a cost.
In hindsight, we probably should have put Kyle on a contract when we sent him to school to get the dog. I'm just saying that would have kept him here a little bit longer.
When Kyle left, it
threw a big, because we just gotten her, and that really kind of threw a wrench in the thing, and not speaking anything negatively on Kyle, but I'm just saying in hindsight, it would probably have been smarter if we would have done the contract with that, when we did that route to force them to stay here longer, essentially. So that way she was more secured.
And that's my point exactly, is that, you know, we've never had a contract I guess, with having officers retained here for X amount of years.
They have,
And we dumped, I don't know how much money we got for grants or scholarships or whatever for this canine, but all that money, wherever it came from, you, me, everyone, the state, national level, was tossed.
The canine, the
into
dog
the-
and the canine program were completely paid for by C's asset forfeiture monies.
yeah, but we could have, and I wasn't here, like, that was on the previous, and I think I was on we were on council when they sent her off for that training. But I never thought that Kyle was gonna leave right, I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, he announced he was leaving right after I took over, I mean, before we set that budget, like, I think that's when I found out,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
That's, that's everyone's, intentions when they come here. I mean, we get the new people and we get the bad people. We've had chiefs here for years, and I'm not gonna throw names out there, but my dad was the police chief of Newport, and we had a chief come here that we hired. My dad said, stay away from him. He fired him in Newport for corruption, and we brought him here.
that doesn't surprise me. I'm not even,
It's the bad choices that we're making by bringing those bad apples in and keeping them here. And my personal opinion is if we cut out the bad decisions on who we bring in, we cut out the bad decisions on who we're sending to school and them leaving after they get their certification to go across the county line to get a same job, but better pay. If we cut all that out, where would we be at right now? We'd have a dog still.
Well, how long did we have the dog? How long did we have?
not even 2 years.
Okay.
A little over a year.
So
Yeah.
I previously worked at an agency with 13 canines. Some bomb, some drug. And you can speak to any of them. I think you can back me up on this. The canines are not lifelong workers.
No, they're only for a
only
couple
good
years.
For 4 to 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
So it is
I think
a
it's
loss.
higher than that.
But we
I'm
did
pretty sure
get
their careers are 7 years.
yeah, but I mean,
Military will only work their dogs for 4.
4.
Police
Four.
is usually 3 to 4 years.
That's
max 2 to 4
terrible
years.
for.
but I
but
mean,
what I was
we're
getting at-
talking a barely over a year we utilized her, really.
Right.
Like,
Also, it wasn't 2 years.
no,
No,
because
no.
Kyle had just gotten back, not a couple, like, hell, it wasn't long after Kyle got back from that train with the dog that Kyle left. It was
Yes.
within a couple months.
So Kyle
So that
was
does make it a
intricate
little
in
worse. I was
getting the
gonna
dog.
say, we at least got half the usage out
No,
of it now.
I know, yeah,
They retire around age 7 is what I've read on.
and I mean, I
It's
looked
dependent
at,
on
I
the
asked
dog.
about sending her back, to the place that we got her, and I get that at this point we've had her too long, that wasn't an option.
They would not purchase her back.
Yeah.
We looked at trying to
And-
sell her back.
and
We
at
looked
this
at trying
point,
to send her
like-
back to have her retrained with another officer. They did not want
Cause
to do
we'd
that.
sent her for, so we had her, Kyle went and trained with her, and then Kyle left, and then Jonathan had to go train with her for like a month or however long he was gone. And then, like, he was going almost weekly or every so often out to, like, to train with her at the Ark in different places, and that's where it just, for us, it just wasn't, we need officers here in the city, but we don't have a lot, I mean, I hated the decision, no, but I mean, in hindsight, I think that going forward, if we're gonna invest any kind of, and it's not even so much the money, it doesn't matter how we got the money to send them, if we're gonna take that kind of time and pay an officer for them to be outside of the city, it's any kind of lengthy training, I think we should enter into another contract with them, because that's an investment, regardless if we had to pay for the school itself or not, it was still an investment of our time that,
And that was a major hurdle. Like I said, Kyle was intricate as far as being the one who found the dog, looking at the research, doing all that. So obviously he was the one that was given the dog. Nobody expected him to go to Wingan. I mean, he said, and I'm not speaking bad of Kyle, because Kyle's one of my best friends. Nobody expected it. But unfortunately, That's what we deal with day in and day out. And you know, you can be upset about the turnover, you can be upset, but we can't force people to stay either. You know, we try to build morale, we try to do anything, but unfortunately, a lot of times the almighty dollar wins out over
Well, because
people
even
wanting to
these
be here.
contracts, other agencies will buy them out.
There is that, but then we also did discuss in the committee meeting earlier though, to make sure that our younger officers that like we have now, like that they're actually getting the shifts that they also kind of want to be working and not just getting thrown on nights all the time, because I know that was an issue with some of our retention of our younger officers. And so we are trying to improve some standards there, to make sure that they're getting a fair shake on what shifts they're working, so they're not just getting dumped on the night shift and not happy about it.
My opinion on that is, you know, they know what they signed up for. They're big
No, I
boys
know,
and
but we're
girls.
trying to retain.
This is the real world. Any job is like that if you're having a workforce that has a 24/7 operation. And that excuse is a terrible one.
Yeah, our biggest problem that I see personally is, you know, we don't have the budget that a lot of the bigger cities do, and that does play into an aspect as to what we can afford. You get what you pay for. I mean, you can't buy a Cadillac on a Cadillac budget.
But you gotta
And
give
it's
some
just-
credit to the sheriff's office over here, because it's not like they're working with much more money than us, and they're retaining their officers, and,
Well,
and
no,
they're
what I'm
doing.
getting at is, you know, right now, our officers aren't in hazardous duty, and hazardous duty is a big thing in the police realm. You know, they like to see better benefits, because at the end of their career, it is a better benefit to them long term. So, I mean, my biggest thing is trying to get morale and make the officers that we have happy, so there is less turnover, because at the end of the day, if we keep turning over officers, I mean, you're always gonna end up with a new officer or an officer that somebody else didn't want, and you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I agree. And, you know, I think that we need to, somebody, us, council, who are we picking? We're not picking people that want to be here. Who's gonna want to stay here in the county? It's people that have gone to the military and come back and stayed in the county. Why aren't we targeting those people?
We did at one time, all but 2 of our officers were either in Falmouth or in Benton County, that lived in Benton County. Unfortunately, 2 of the ones that left were 2 of the ones that lived here. And that's when we recruited, we did recruit, and we did actively look for people who were members of this society, or members of this city, members of this county. So we did do that, and I agree with you 100% that that's where we need to look, because this is home for them. We did that, and it still didn't stop 2 of our officers from leaving for better benefits or for better pay. But that's gonna happen.
That wasn't the only reason they left, but I'm not gonna sit here and get
Well,
into those
we
parts
don't
of
need
things.
this.
But
I
yeah,
mean-
I'm just saying, but it wasn't all about benefits and pay that they left.
No,
I'm not gonna lie, it's not.
It's the environment that we have here as a city, and, you know, much as everyone hears about it, it's with the county too. You know, we're a machine, back and forth, the sun and the moon. And, you know, I hate to see it that we're not working together. I mean, do they have a canine?
No.
Do you think we could donate our canine to them?
Jared doesn't want a canine, he's made that very clear.
Well, that's
I mean, I can ask him. I don't know. I've never, we've never had that conversation, but I could reach out to Jared and ask. I mean, I would like to see, and I've mentioned that before, a better working relationship between our sheriffs and the city police. I will say though that when push comes to shove and there's an active call and an active situation, they all show up and they work together. They do have each other's backs in those regards. But I think Jared does a phenomenal job. I think he does a phenomenal job with his morale. I think he does a phenomenal job on how he runs his department. I know that we do have some room for growth in some of those areas. But it's a hard balance, because we try and compete with the wages And then sometimes some of them just get a little bored because we don't really have the call volume and they're just stuck in the city. I know that's another part of it. They're like, it is a small area to patrol essentially. So I mean, how many times they want to drive around all night long, but that is the job. But there's room for growth and I mean, I've talked to many, they've heard my frustrations on many things going on there and we are trying to find some solutions and some accountability.
Yeah, my whole point though is that, you know, we need to make better decisions on who we hire, who we keep.
I would like to see a more involved hiring process
Yes.
with our officers to see who we're hiring because normally it's just, we didn't even know that Shy was getting, and nothing against her, we had no idea she was even hired until like she was coming in for a meet, like, cause well Luke had left it, but like nobody even discussed with us hiring another officer, they just hired her. And so like there's that, like I think there should be more discussion. And not that council has a big say in any hiring parts, but I think when we are hiring an officers, we do need to take a better look and have more involvement in it.
You appoint the chief. I think regardless if it's in the paperwork or not, you put it in there that says it needs to be ran by the people.
Well, I know the mayor knows about people, I know Luke approved Shy being hired. But never did they come to council and say we're hiring another officer. Like we didn't know. I was on council and I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that was blindsiding to us. And we haven't hired anybody since. But I do agree with you that we end up with other people's problems or kids right out of the academy. And it kind of sucks.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Baby steps, we're trying, we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm not like trying to sound negative, you know, it's just my entire adult life here. It's been a joke with the city, the county, the police, the sheriffs.
And I mean, I think we're a small town and I really want to see a better relationship with our public and our officers, especially a more positive interaction with our officers and the public. I mean, I've tried to encourage for them to be at the athletic park, go shoot some ball with the kids, go watch a ball game, get out of the car, go interact. I said, tell them, take the dog out of the car, go walk the dogs around over there. Just talk to people.
Yeah, that was the thing when I was in high school. I'm sure you all know the tennis courts were a hangout spot, and you know there's always different hangout spots that these high schoolers go to.
Right now it's the athletic park.
Yeah, you know, we would always have an officer come by and chit chat with us.
Yeah, that's kind of, just don't come by and patrol and go interact, get out and talk to them, get to know the kids. I mean, that's how I envisioned it. And like, he even sent me a thing about these like little reward.
Yeah, like a caught being good, like a good citation.
Yeah, like to try and give that to the kids and stuff. Like that is what we want to see. And it's, I know it's my job to motivate the employees to meet that standard, but it's not been an easy go. But we're working on it. Like we've been trying to brainstorm ideas of trying to get a better, you know, we're a small town. We don't, just get out and talk to people. Any other public comments? Now I'm waiting on you guys.
Make a motion, we adjourn.